what I understand is that 9 o'clock every night they sing national anthem. So we're going to listen to them tonight. All right? So I'd like everybody to stand. We are not going to sing. We're going to listen. We're going to face our flag. And there's a guy that comes in on here and he says the Pledge of Allegiance. So what I'd like everybody to do, like I said, we're just going to listen to this.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got about a half an hour. I just beat that.
Did we recognize the voice?
God.
Hey, who in the room is crying? That's pretty touching. Thank you, Rick. Is this on? Yeah. We've got a good 2-hour schedule tonight. We're going to have 3 or 4 speakers. Our main objective tonight is to motivate each and every one of us to get out and vote tomorrow and to get as many people out there to vote as you possibly can. And I know that we encouraged you to invite members or to invite people to come tonight, and hopefully you have. Hopefully we have some new people here, because we're definitely going to have a raffle and hopefully give out some money tonight too. So with that said, I've encouraged the candidates to come up and say, talk for a few minutes. We all know them, and we all know we're going to vote for them, but I still want to hear them tonight. So if we can get the candidates up here real quickly. I think there's 3 of them, or 4 of them, or 5 of them. Because I know we got Green Valley, and we got Lee Summit, and I think Blue Springs only had 3 openings and had 3 people running, so they're not even having an election. So 3 minutes. Just have fun.
Young Fox, Big 4. Hey everyone, I'm Dave Grady and I'm running for the Lee Summit School Board. I appreciate your vote tomorrow, April 4th. It's on us. This is the day, tomorrow. I've been looking forward to it. I feel really good about it. And I want to thank the people. See you. Been helping me from the start. Been supporting me, encouraging me, fixing my Facebook page when I screw up. And people held fundraisers for us. People held meet and greets for us. People have given to us generously. And a lot of you are here. A lot of them aren't. A lot of them going to be there tomorrow, manning the polls. And I was talking with this guy here, Billy. And he said, you know, if it weren't for those people, we couldn't do this. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Took all the words right out of my mouth. So, this election is a change election, all right? Everybody can feel it in the air. Everybody feels that huge change is coming, not only in Lee Summit, but everywhere else around the country, okay? As Chuck likes to say, mama bears and papa bears are waking up everywhere, and we're realizing and identifying the threat in our communities, right? It's a threat to our children, okay? And a threat is a military term. I'm a military veteran, right? We're not saying that these people we're going to harm anybody, but we are going to take back our communities, okay? And we are going to do that tomorrow on April 4th. We're going to get out and vote, and your voice is going to be heard, and your voice is going to be expressed through all of these people here on the stage right now, all right? Change is going to be coming. It's going to be a flood. Hopefully we can empower the people, the voices in our community who haven't been speaking up because they're afraid of repercussion from our administration, from the people at the SLC who, yeah, right? Yeah, no, we want to empower folks to speak up, and anybody who feels afraid, who have been feeling afraid over the last few years, who have wanted to speak up and speak their mind, but didn't want to face repercussion or peer pressure, now is the time to do it. Speak with your vote on April 4th, and let me do the hard work for you. Thank you. William Peterson, April 4th. Vote for me.
Everybody, Lance Pollard. I am a school board candidate for Green Valley. And yeah, there we go, Green Valley. There seems to be a common theme in this election that people's concerns have fallen on deaf ears. I've been out with some friends. Some of the friends are here tonight, door knocking, meeting people. And it's been, Dave, I'm not going to do what you did. I'm going to try not to do what you did. But it's been so encouraging that I always say the smallest group of people have the loudest voices. And so when I first started door knocking, I'm not going to lie, my heart's pounding. I'm like, man, these people are going to come out, and I'm going to be ready to throw down with them. And I'd say 670, 680 homes we've door knocked, Teresa and I, and two people opposed, the silent majority. But you see, tomorrow is where we change that. Tomorrow is where you make your voices heard. And I will say something. I brought some voter guides. I spoke with Representative Jeff Coleman and Tisha Homfeld. And we have 3 spots open tomorrow for the school board. And I brought some voter guides, but Tisha Homfeld and Jeff Coleman and myself, I'm going to call that the common sense conservative ticket. And we're going to give that voice back to the community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Garrett, running for the Lee Summit School Board. We're ready. I have been a ball of nerves since last night, I think, and this morning it's kind of continued. I calm down, then I get nervous again. But I just wanted to say this election is so important. This is the year where we can bring change. We can bring our families back to Lee Summit. We can elevate parents, teachers, and students' voices that have gone silent for too long. So I would like to do that, and I am ready to get started with the new school board. So bring all the positive changes that we can. Now, we still need you guys. You guys have been so supportive and so great that we still need you just a little bit longer. So we appreciate any help you can offer tomorrow with standing at the polls or still getting out the word. And I just wanted to say, and I'm not going to try and tear up, but I want to recognize my mom. My mom's back there, and she has been very supportive. I lost my dad a couple of years ago, and they were both veteran Marines. My dad gave back to his country, and I am trying to carry on that legacy, give back to our community and improve our schools for our kids. That's what I would like to bring back. So I just want to thank you all, and thanks, Mom.
We've been, David, you want to talk again?
It's supposed to be really stormy tomorrow afternoon, so go vote early. That way you don't get caught in the mess.
Good idea. Good idea. Good idea. When we started We the People in July of 2020, we started it because of all the rioting that was going on downtown Kansas City. And we decided that we wanted to bring speakers out here that could bring the honesty to us and let us know what was going on, not what the Kansas City Rag was saying or what the media was telling us, someone to bring us the truth. So, we've had lawyers, we've had health experts, we've had the president of the Fraternal Order of Police come and speak to us 2 or 3 times. But that's what this group is all about, is bringing out the truth. And when we started hearing about the things that were going on locally, that's when we started to get involved. This one county might not be able to do anything about the nationwide presidency. But if we pay attention to our county, and we pay attention to our school districts, and we pay attention to our city councilmen, we can change Jackson County for the better. We can. I know we can. But we got to do it one election at a time. We got to do it one city at a time, and one. Kansas City, Missouri is a beast. I mean, they're just ugly, but Jackson County consists of a lot more than Kansas City, and all these towns and suburbs around Kansas City, Missouri are conservative suburbs. But I say it, and that's why it got away from us. That's why we had 7 board members in Lee Summit that just went kind of crazy on us. And we got 2 of them back last year, so now it's 5-2. And I hope and pray we get 3 of them back tomorrow in Lee Summit. And I hope and pray we get Green Valley like we should. And hopefully we have awakened the mama bears and the papa bears because of the pornography in the school. What you all don't realize is, and maybe you do now, because someone got up and talked in front of a board. I told my wife 2 weeks ago, I said, it really bothers me that I'm probably the most hated man in Lee Summit. And she said, well, you're probably the most loved man. And I go, and it's not just because of me. I mean, I'm looking at people in the room that have done so much more than I did. I just got up in front of the board and read some porn. I think we have like 150,000 views on TikTok from a something that I was on, Ronnie,
Podcast, Papa Ron
Papa
podcast.
Ron podcast, has like 150,000 views, and hopefully we have enough views in Lee Summit from everything that everybody has posted to make a difference and wake the people up. Because when Kristen came to our group a year or so ago and told us that there was porn in the school libraries, we didn't know, because they sneaked it in. Sneaked, is that a word? Snuck's not a word. I think sneaked is correct. All right, just want to clarify that. They sneaked it in. And I'm talking about X-rated pornography. And if that doesn't boil your blood, I don't know what will. So we've got to get on our horns tonight, and we've got to get on our horns tomorrow morning, and we've got to volunteer to work the polls. We're going to ask you, some of you in the room, if you got time tomorrow, to go stand out there and hand out some flyers. You got a minute?
Okay, I debated doing this. I have an update on the book situation. So there were 88 total books submitted, well, complaints for over 88 different books submitted in the Lee Summit School District. And 7 of those immediately were removed from the libraries due to whatever reasons. I don't have all the reasons for all of them, but I've gotten responses back on 55 of them so far. The other 33 books, which a few of those have already been removed, will start the review process soon, is what I've been told. Of the 55 I've heard back from, 4 of them were weeded out at the beginning of the process. 2 of them had not even been checked out all year, so there's no reason even looking at them and fighting over them if no one's checking them out. The other 2, for different reasons, were pulled. One, the book I found to be the most repulsive, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was that, I don't want to say traumatic to me, but the events in it were traumatic. It was removed because they said inaccurate information in the book, which they found out the accuser in the book, a teenage girl, had been raped, and the person she accused was later exonerated through DNA. So the publisher and the author apologized, and they've stopped printing the book. So thankfully the book is no longer printed, no one can get it, so that's probably why it's not in Mid-Continent Public Library. But that is one of the 4 books of those 55 that were removed. Of the other 51, every single one, they said, does not meet the definition of porn. And this is their wording in the letters. The team determined the material did not fit the definition of pornography as written in Missouri Revised Statute 573.01, Section 14, because the author's intent was not to arouse or cause sexual excitement, and the material is taken as a whole has literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. So here's the thing, if you look at the definition, nowhere in the legal definition does it say anything about the author's intent. In the legal definition, it has nothing to do with intent to arouse or excite. So they're wrong. They're using the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. So that bugs me. It's like they didn't even read the law. Anyway, so here's the situation. I emailed Dr. Buck, he's the one that sent me the letters, and we had a couple emails back and forth. They are looking at, in the April 13th board meeting, bringing up discussion over putting a deadline on appeals. So once the decisions are made, they will have a deadline as to how long you have to appeal the decisions. The problem with this is, if for some reason that appeal is not, or that deadline is not met, that means this committee of unnamed people would be the final say, not our elected officials. So I have a problem with that. I've been told that to change that policy, they want to revise the policy and procedure for the whole book review process, of course. So to do so, it'd have to go to committee, it'd take time. It wouldn't be a one meeting decision, is what I've been told, not through Dr. Buck, but someone else told me that. And my concern with that is that our elected officials are the ones that we put in office, not that we like everyone in office at the moment necessarily, but they're the ones that do, like current policy says, they should have the final say. So adding a deadline would it would basically truncate the whole grievance process and leave it up to a committee of people, which administration selects these committee members. She tried to volunteer, and the day she received the email saying we need, we're gonna have to do these committees, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, our committees are already full. So it kind of goes to say who's selecting these committees, who's on the committees. That's all information I plan on Sunshine requesting. But this is the situation we're in. So I'll wrap it up. I know I said 2-3 minutes, but so much longer. I got some clarity through this email exchange that only the people who submitted the complaints are the ones who have the power to appeal. I somehow or other missed that when I read all the details. So although there's 88 books that were submitted for review, 5 other brave people in this group did submit complaints, and they do have some power there. But I submitted complaints on every single 88 of the books. So about 50 to 60 of them, I apparently am the only one who can appeal. And if I don't appeal, the books remain in the schools. So I ask for your prayer. This is like very heavy on my heart for the last 3 days. I ask for your prayer because I don't want this power. I want the people to have the power to appeal this. And the problem is most people don't even know these books are there until something like this happens. And so for me to now hold that power over you guys is not fair. Anyone in the community should have the power to appeal this. And I would hope that if we when we flip the board tomorrow, that those people will be able to make the decision as to how to change that policy. Okay? But I don't know what the future holds. I just know that we need the books out of the school district. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know. That means that I might have to be the person filing a lawsuit. I don't know what the next step is. I just need your prayer. So that's, anyway. Thank you.
When we sent in 88 different complaints, I said this like almost 2 months ago, they will change the rules. Oh yeah. I knew they would, because they had to get all these different committees to read the books, discuss the books, and I knew they were going to change the rules, and that's what they're doing, they're changing the rules. So anyway, we got a lot to discuss. That's just part of it tonight. So yeah.
If we get the majority on the board, can't they just say, remove those books from the library till they are reviewed?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. We're, hopefully we'll have the majority as of tomorrow night, and we'll get to that. But we're gonna move right along here. We've got a special guest tonight. He is a legislator for the county, and I got to read this, Sean, because I couldn't introduce you if I didn't.
It was embarrassing that you asked me for it.
Well, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, so let's see if I can find it here.
And I'm happy to introduce myself.
Yeah, introduce yourself. I'm blowing it. I'm blowing it already.
So, Sean Smith, as Chuck said, I am the Jackson County legislator for the 6th district, which is where you're at right now. There are 6 in-district legislators and 3 at-large. So my section of Jackson County that I represent, who elected me, a lot of you fine folks, is basically if you think about Longview Lake and you head east until you hit the county line, all the way to the southern county line. I am also going to have to use my cell phone for notes, but and I have a fancy poster over there. So I had asked Chuck for 5 minutes, I don't know, a month or so ago, and he said, okay. And what partially inspired me was that I was here in this room, and Chuck did, the first time I ever saw him really push to get contributions, and what resulted was some law enforcement training for the Human Trafficking Training Coalition. You guys, anybody here for that? So I personally kicked in some for that, because I was moved to, like a lot of you. And shortly thereafter, we were able to start to conduct, of course, those law enforcement training seminars were fantastic. We actually did the same thing, different training, because you don't give away all your secrets that you tell law enforcement, but different training for the public at Kauffman Stadium. And I'm going to talk, and by the way, I am, Chuck mentioned the Lee Summit School Board. How many people that are here live where you can vote in the Lee Summit School race? Okay.
Wow.
And so that's great. And I'm going to wrap this around full circle to the school board election, but for now I'm going to mention that just like right now there's 2 conservatives and 7 people that aren't conservative seemingly on the school board. That's kind of the situation I'm in Jackson County. So there are 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and I'm one of the 2. So getting things done is not the same as Jefferson City where we hold a supermajority, right? One of the things that came out of the human trafficking training was that my fellow legislators, some of whom were there, said, that's fantastic, we need to do more. And one of the things they said is, okay, we have hospitals that the county's responsible for. We can make sure that they start to, on admission, identify people who might actually be at risk. So, and that's not a Democrat-Republican thing. That's just the right thing to do. So I say that simply to say that we can talk all we want about us versus them. On certain things, and I'm going to talk about another one here in a second, it seems like we're able to come together. So what I get to do mostly is figure out what those things are. The next one I'm going to talk about is something, how many of you have heard of the Stop the Fill issue? Okay, so the idea of putting a landfill off 150 highway. Big problem, right? We've got legislation down at State Capitol, Lee Summit School Board, so it's a terrible location for a landfill. And as I said, I'm one of 2 Republicans. I don't expect to have my name on a lot of legislation that everybody's going to support. But I actually was the sponsor of a piece of legislation in Jackson County that said this is a bad location for a landfill. We oppose it as a legislative group. When I first introduced that, everybody was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And then, for some reason, they all changed their mind. And then, a bunch of people showed up in the chamber at a public hearing. It was the most attended public hearing that we've had in probably 15 years. And people demonstrated, not like with holding up signs, but they demonstrated just by being there and making their voices heard that they were not going to sit down and let this happen. And I'll be darned. We passed that piece of legislation, the first piece of legislation I sponsored, 8 votes to 1. So my message there is that your voice matters, and you got to pick when you're going to go do it, right? So just know, you do in fact have power. The next thing I'm going to talk about, and Chuck, you might need to be my microphone holder while I set up this little poster. Give me just a second. I'm going to talk about assessments. Anybody here know anything about what's going on with assessments? So what do you think about it? Pretty popular, right? Everybody loves that their house went up in value. Anybody?
30%.
Well, so on the one hand, we're glad that our real estate investments of our homes are working out, right? On the other hand, it puts us at risk. And I want to talk for just a minute, not just about the assessment process, which is a problem in and of itself. And by the way, Lance, the last 2 weeks, so does everybody know who Lance Dillenschneider is? Okay. So the last 2 weeks at the legislative meeting, in open public, I've been able to ask the administration, who have come out and admitted that Tyler Technologies is not delivering in accordance with their contract, right? So they've said we gotta figure this out. So this week I said, I am gonna come to your office, Troy, and this is an industry and stuff that I'm really familiar with. I won't talk about how, my career background basically, just like Lance knows real estate and development, property values. But the bottom line is, I said, we are gonna work through this because it's not just up to the administration to figure out where Tyler has gone wrong and what that should mean to the county, okay? So I'm gonna talk about this poster. And I don't know, this was my dumb idea. I get dumb ideas at about 6 a.m., 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and suddenly they turn into something. So the idea of an assessed value, right? This is, in the county, we're required by state law is right there, to figure out what the value of real estate parcels are. And I'm gonna specifically use the example of residential real estate. And by the way, I promise this is coming back to the thing that's most important in the next 24 hours. So the assessed value that the county comes up with, it's important. And there's reasons it's important, and there's reasons that it's a problem, okay? I'm gonna talk about those in a minute too. But what you have to realize is that the rate of tax that assessed value is multiplied by to come up with what you actually pay is 50, if you're a Lee's Summit resident, I pulled my tax bill, 56% of the money that I pay in property taxes goes to the Lee's Summit School Board. And the Lee's Summit School Board sets a rate. And the reason there's a big cartoony weight up here says Hancock. Anybody know what Hancock is? A few of you. So basically that says that the entity as a whole, the Lee's Summit School Board, can't collect more taxes just because your assessed values go up more than 5% per year per Hancock, and I'm oversimplifying things. I'm looking around the room. I wish Preston Smith was here because he could correct me on half of this, but I'm getting a general gist for you, right? And if anybody else knows more, wants to add, that's fine, but I'm trying not to be too detailed. So, bottom line is, school board setting the rate, county legislature setting a percentage of the rate, that's me. The city of Lee's Summit, or whatever your city is, setting part of your rate, and other entities, the libraries, community college, whatever. So, bottom line is, school board candidates, they matter, and how fiscally responsible they are gonna be. They matter a lot. And some of you will sit here and say, I wanna complain about the assessments. I'm gonna tell you for the next 24 hours, forget of that. And everybody who held up their hand that said they were from Lee's Summit, I will tell you that there's something you can do in the next 24 hours other than just vote yourself. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what that is. I think somebody else is going to, but there's literature over here, paid for properly by a political action committee that has the candidates' names on them. And I guarantee you, everybody in this room, it's worth 15 minutes of your time when you go vote tomorrow to make sure that you hand that literature to somebody, or if you can't vote tomorrow, if you already voted, put it in somebody's door tonight. I don't care if you show up on their Ring camera, right? Just do something, Because the last school board, people were elected by these local elections. I think Jennifer and Heather, they get 3,000 votes apiece? Right? 3,000 votes. There's probably 60 of you that are from Lee's Summit right here. Your 60 votes aren't gonna get it done, but if you can multiply yourselves, dragging people to the polls, informing them just in the next 24 hours, just think 24 hours, you have time to make a rate, an adjustment that represents literally half the taxes you pay in Lee's Summit. So, so Chuck specifically asked me to talk about the assessment, but I'm talking about the whole process. So we, Jackson County, collect the money, and then we distribute it back to the schools, to the city, and keep some of it for services that we provide. So why do I think the assessment process is a problem? Well, first off, we have 700, I think it is, 1,000 parcels in the county that we have to assess. Not easy. This year, we decided to do some automation. Tyler Technologies, right? Which automation is good, it can be more efficient, but it has had some problems, you just heard that. There's also the fact that things like the assessor's office, and where people need to go to pay their taxes at the Independence Courthouse. Did you guys know what's happened at the Independence Courthouse? The sewer pipe collapsed. People couldn't work there. We don't have enough space for people to work. We don't have enough people to do the work. And we have statutory requirements that we're gonna do all this work on a timely basis. All problems, right? And things that just, even if none of that happened, the way we collect property taxes, the way the assessment process happens, there's privacy concerns. This little old man is really mad with his cane because fraudsters. We've had letters that have gone out on assessment department letterhead saying things and trying to get people to provide their private information to bad actors, meaning criminals, right? So just the fact that this whole process exists at the state level, there are efforts to just phase out the property tax. I can't do that today. I hate to say it. But I do have one thing I'm going to tell you about before I wrap up. And the last thing on here that I put in all caps is just distrust, right? So when you have those kinds of problems in the way the tax system works, it just generates distrust between people and their government. And I'm here to tell you that Tyler sometimes has contractors out. I had a constituent who I know personally, I trust implicitly. They have a retirement home. And the retirement home is not like full-time care. It's a series of units on private property. They had somebody come up, 4 people in black hoods and black garb, come into the retirement community, and were trying to figure out what the value of the property is. They had little old ladies and men scared because all of a sudden they see strangers walking around. They asked them to leave, and they said, we don't have to. And they said, we're with the county, we can do whatever we want. This is what we're statutorily required to do, which is not entirely true. And they turned out to be, I believe, Tyler employees, right? So so when I say there's problems with the process, I'm not talking about math errors. I'm talking about innate, we don't want to rely on this kind of tax problems. When you see a home get sold because its property value has gone down so much that the owners don't want it anymore, and the taxes are so high that they just abandon it, what happens to the neighborhood? So this is not just out here in rural Jackson County or suburban Jackson County problem. I've fixed some of these homes up and resold them. Every time I go buy one, the whole neighborhood is a problem. That's what this system is causing. So, and Chuck didn't even know I did this. By the way, I'm not usually nervous, but you guys are a rough audience. So, today, at our county meeting, oh my God, either my blood pressure has gone sky high or I've just got terrible eyesight all of a sudden. I introduced an ordinance. It reads, and I'm going to read this to you. Whereas Jackson County, Missouri relies upon both personal and real estate property taxes as a principal source of revenue, and whereas numerous pieces of legislation contemplate eliminating or reducing property tax revenue to local taxing jurisdictions, and current property tax law and processes create considerable negative effects on the citizens of Jackson County, including financial hardship, potential foreclosures and evictions, and whereas Jackson County, question 1A, the county sales tax on recreational cannabis is on the ballot on April 4th, and I'm going to summarize. Basically, we should stop relying so much on property taxes, and if you, the voters, pass the cannabis tax, we sequester that money, because we don't know how much it's going to be every year. We set it aside, and at the beginning of next year, when we decide on your rate, we use that money to lower your rate. Right? Discretionary income, people using recreational cannabis, take that money, set it aside, and reduce the rate, reduce our reliance on property taxes, right? That's the one way I can come up with where little Sean at the Jackson County Legislature can do anything to start to reduce our reliance on property taxes. Not new revenue. Replacing it. So, oh! Ha!
I was praising your thoughts there.
So, that's all I had to say. There's lots of other shenanigans. By the way, that's my one word for the legislature some days. That go on when I serve with the people I serve. I don't say anything bad about them because I do have to serve with them, and I do hope that I can get them to help me accomplish things. So you're not going to see me saying anything negative about them, not because it's all candy and lollipops, but just because, I got to figure out how to work with these guys. So, and by the way, last thing I'll say is in November, we came up a little short. So that's why I'm serving 7 to 2, right? So when I say in the next 24 hours, do something, especially voters in Lee's Summit, really take the next 24 hours seriously. Your obligation to get out and vote. And not just get out and vote, but drag your middle-of-the-road friends along and explain to them they have the opportunity to fix some things locally with one simple act, and that's the act of voting. That's what I have. I'll wrap it up.
I found Sean's introduction right once I sat down. Go ahead.
I had a question related to Tyler Technologies specifically.
Yeah.
So I understand they were contracted, there was a bid process, they were the low bidder. Was that bid process ran through the executive office or through the assessment office?
So, did everybody hear the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what I would tell you, first off, I was elected in November, so it took place before my election. But every contract has to come through the legislature. It's over like 5 days. The bid selection process, as near as I understand, had 2 bidders, and Tyler was one. They mentioned, the only reason I know about that is because I can't possibly reread the entire history of what the legislature did before I arrived. But I know about that because they mentioned in today's meeting, the other bidder. Bottom line is that the decisions and the way, say, IT decisions are made, largely done by the administration and a professional procurement team and the department that's selecting, say, a piece of software. But then they do have to bring it to the legislature. And I don't know, a lot of them aren't even there anymore, right? We replaced 6 of the 9 in November when I joined. So I don't know how the 9 that were there voted previously, but what I'm more worried about is what we can do about it now, which if they breach their contract, we can identify where, figure out how we as a county get recompensated for that, and what the best alternative is going forward.
There's a lot of legal precedent there, they've done it all over the nation actually, so take a look at that for sure.
So,
But the approval process for it was through the executive office, not the assessment office.
so the executive group, the administration, and the assessor's office would have put out an RFP and said, this is what kind of software we need. But then before they could have finalized the contract and the expenditure, they had to bring that to the legislature. So I'm saying, I guess, the administration has, and this is the nature of our county government, in my opinion, has a lot of power wrapped up with the executive team and the administration as a whole. And then the legislature comes along for the ride. We do have to approve things. But in this case, it was a $17 million contract. Absolutely, the legislature would have then understood it and gone through that process. And I think there were some people that objected to it, but I just like to go back and reread it. I'm doing good to stay on top of everything today. So.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Lance.
Chuck, real quick, don't know if there's anything, didn't look at everything over there. Don't know if anybody's aware of Jeff Coleman's bill. It has passed the House. It gives a maximum of a 4% tax increase per 2-year assessment period for Jackson County. I mean, for the state of Missouri. If you're over 65, you're frozen, your taxes are frozen there. You'll never go higher. That's going to the Senate. The problem is, they think the Senate's probably not going to be real boned up on it. So he has given me the bill. If I'll get you the bill, and maybe you can put that on We the People. Sure. And the website to email the hell out of all the, this will go to all the senators in the state of Missouri.
Right.
Let them know, we expect them to vote for it.
Yep.
And don't just email your senator and
No,
email.
we'll do that. We'll
We've got a website that goes.
get everybody involved and we'll email everybody.
Letters are better.
Yeah,
They can delete email, they can't throw
I
it
know.
back to mail.
I know.
If they get the mail.
Right. I know that this personal property tax is going to be huge this year, and you know, owning a real estate company, I know people are going to be coming to me and asking me to look at comps and trying to renegotiate the assessment. We do that all the time in real estate, but you know, I couldn't handle thousands and thousands of them. There's no way. But the people, the ones that are very, very much way over, you know, I might be able to handle those for you, but anyway, we'll see how it all turns out. Moving right along. I gotta look, because I'll mess your name up if I don't. We've got the Convention of States here tonight, and her name is Shelley Harrison. Shelley, come on up. You know, I said, I heard of the Convention of States, but I'm not really sure what it is. She had to explain it to me, but it made all the sense in the world once she explained it.
Hi, everybody. I'm used to talking for 30, 40 minutes, and I've been asked to keep it short, so I will do my best. My name is Shelley Harrison. I am from Adrian, Missouri, actually. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. I'm a lifelong Missourian. And I've spent my life raising my family, going to school, building a career. I always felt like I was doing the right thing by going out and voting. I made sure I was an informed voter, checked out the candidates and those kinds of things. 2 or 3 years ago, I realized that was not enough. It is not enough. And so I started seeking out groups, people like you all. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I do have some points to make. In the last 2 to 3 years, I've seen our country breaking down. I've been canceled on social media. I've been fired from my job because I refused a vaccination. I've been lectured, thank you. I've been lectured. I've been berated by family and friends. And I've lost friends. All because of my Christian conservative beliefs and my desire for freedom and autonomy over my own body. I have never been politically minded, but I'm changing every day, and I am today. So I began volunteering a year ago, in April actually, 1 year ago, with an organization, a grassroots, citizen-led organization called the Convention of States. Convention of States is a grassroots movement, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but I've also hosted town hall meetings in my community. I have testified in the Missouri State Senate. I have knocked on hundreds and hundreds of doors for candidates that were like-minded, both at the local as well as the state and federal level. And I've even hosted a 4-part community education series on our local radio about the birth and history of the United States Constitution. So I know how precious, and I know you do too, how precious this republic is, and how very, very fragile it is. And like you, I want my children and my grandchildren to have the same freedoms and opportunities that I had growing up, and I want the world to continue to have this beacon of hope and freedom called America. So some of the problems that we face, and I'm sure that I'm preaching to the choir here, but when I tell you that our country is a complete mess, I'm sure you agree. The federal government has become extremely powerful, and it's a tyrannical beast. It is the largest employer in our nation, employing 2.7 million employees, and they plan to add another 87,000 employees. You know about that. That is 1.2 million more employees than our largest corporation in the United States, Walmart. Okay? Our federal government is the very thing that our forefathers were afraid of and feared that could happen, and for which they carefully worked to avoid. I don't even know that they would recognize our country today. They created the federal government to be subservient to the states. There's a lot of education that's gone into this Constitution series that I did, and my eyes are wide open as to all the sources that tell us the truth about our forefathers and why they developed our country as a republic and not a democracy. So I'm sure they wouldn't recognize our country today, because every place that you listen to, they call it a democracy. It is not. It is a republic. They created the federal government to be subservient to the states and to serve as interstate commerce, print and manage money, protect our borders, and handle our foreign affairs. The states were to continue to be sovereign and to control the federal government. As a republic, the framers intended that our government should be of the people, by the people, and for the people, which means that every citizen should be paying attention and interacting with our government. It is so refreshing to be amongst people who are doing just that in this room. For the last couple of entire generations, though, I think that has not occurred. And today we have career politicians and unelected bureaucrats that have never held a private, job, making sweeping decisions that negatively impact millions of Americans and Main Street small businesses every day. Washington should not be in our everyday lives, period. So our forefathers, I'm getting to the point now, our forefathers provided a solution. The framers of the Constitution gave us the gift of Article 5 of the United States Constitution. If you don't have a copy of the Constitution, it's on www.constitution.congress.gov. On September 15th in 1787, at the end of a long, hot summer of the Constitutional Convention, Colonel George Mason, who was a Virginia delegate, stood up and pointed out that the Constitution was missing one very important aspect. He stood up and said that it allowed, under Article 5, for only Congress to propose amendments to the Constitution. Now, the framers understood that as the country grew, decades and centuries later, that we would also need to amend the Constitution, okay? The framers understood that. However, Colonel Mason pointed out that if Congress itself, if the government itself should ever become tyrannical, it would never rein in its own power. It would continue to grab more and more power. And so they unanimously voted that day to approve the recommended change and go forward with Article 5. So Article 5 has two methods to amend the Constitution. And the method that has always been used is that Congress proposes an amendment by 2/3 of a vote, and the states ratify that amendment by 3/4 of a vote, okay? Under Colonel Mason's suggestion, the second part of Article 5 is that the states can, should they desire and need to, come together for the purposes of both proposing an amendment and ratifying an amendment. It is not an easy process. It is a long, methodical process. But that is what this self-governance group is about. And that's why I actually began volunteering with them. So, in today's world, with our states, it takes 34 states to call a convention. There are 19 states, including Missouri, that have already passed the recommendation resolution to call a convention of states. We have currently 4 more states that are on the cusp of passing legislation. We just failed in Kansas, unfortunately, because Kansas has an odd rule of it having to be, for that particular issue, being a 3/4 vote. So what amendments are we seeking? It's important to note first that this is an Article 5 convention, not a Constitution convention. Under a Constitution convention, which we've only had one ever, and that was to write our Constitution, under an Article 5 convention, you can only make those changes or amendments, propose those amendments that have been part of the resolution. And all 19 states that have passed the resolution have agreed on those agenda items, and here they are. Fiscal responsibility with a balanced budget, okay? Our federal government believes that they have a taxpayer blank check for whatever they desire. We need to prevent our countries from going into bankruptcy and protect the financial future of our country for our children and our grandchildren's sake. So we will propose and debate in a convention on federal spending and taxation. Term limits on elected politicians and non-elected bureaucrats, okay? No more dark money funded for decades of power, and we will propose limits for bureaucrats like Fauci and other agency powers, hopefully ending the dominance of the swamp. Then, lastly, is to reestablish federal versus state powers. Our federal government virtually ignores our Constitution today. We need to remind them of that document and be very specific with the states. This will not be an easy process. The states have to stand up, and this takes much discussion within the state legislature and much education and proponents of the public. We want to stop unelected federal bureaucrats from imposing regulations such as the ATF, physical brace thing, that virtually are mandates or laws outside of the congressional legislation. The congressional legislation should be making laws, not the ATF or the EPA or whatever. Our framers intentionally gave us Article 5 for times such as these. It was designed to be the methodical process. It's not been easy. We now have, and I'm one of over 5 million volunteers nationally that seeks to educate the public. Fortunately, I live in a past state, but the work is not done because we're currently working with both the House and the Senate in Missouri to pass a bill on calling delegates. So we've agreed to call a convention. However, we will need to send people to that convention. Some legislatures, but mostly citizens will go. And when that bill passes, then we'll be able to start the process of how do we call that? Each district will have that opportunity to call people. We wish to return to self-governance of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I have literature, this piece right here, on the table. Grab one because it gives you the Convention of States website on the back. I would really like to have your support on this. There is a petition that you sign. It will sign you up for some emails, but you can control that. What it does, though, is we share that with our legislators, and that is our collective voice, and so they need to hear that. I also, he's bringing this thing. I also do speak, so I speak to organizations, and so if anybody wants me to speak, my card is on the table back here. Feel free to email or call me. No one is coming to save America. We Americans must be willing to save America. Thank you.
Hopefully we can get to 34 states sooner than later, because we do need to make some amendments. There's no doubt about that. I wanted Sean to leave the room before people raised their hands saying that they were Lee's Summit voters. I need you all to raise your hands again. Donna Gordon, where are you? There she is. We've got a box. I'll let Donna explain it because she knows a lot more than I do, that's for sure. If you don't mind explaining it and tell what you have in the box and that we need people's help here.
We've got, I don't even know, I think 26 or 27 polling places. Most people, when they come to vote, they may have a general idea of who they're voting for, but a lot of people don't. They show up to vote. In fact, I looked at the last 3 years of who had voted in the April elections, and 51% of those voters were over the age of 55. So a lot of the voters do not have children in school. They might have grandchildren, but the older demographic is the most frequent voters. The smallest number of voters were the under 30, surprisingly. So we have a real good chance to educate folks, but we do need your help in staffing. If you've got a couple of hours, just to ask people as they come up to vote, would you like to have a voter guide? The only real rule is that you have to be more than 25 feet from the front door of the polling place. The main talk, and we don't need to get into the weeds, we don't need to fight and argue with folks, it's just that these are the three candidates that are focused on putting academics first, school safety, and giving parents a say in their children's education. It's very simple. Because the other candidates like to speak about, we rely on the experts, or it's civil rights, and we need more counselors because kids can't read. So the focus is on academics, safety, and parental involvement and parental voice in their schools. So if you can help us with a couple hours at a polling place, I've got the schedule, and come up to me afterwards. Or, we'd like to get rid of all these flyers today. Thank you.
Do come up to Donna here, after the meeting is over, and schedule yourself for a couple hours, if you don't mind. It's not asking for anything but time from you. When you go up to vote, you could vote and do your 2 hours and hand out all these you possibly can to people. There could be someone coming in to vote for one school board member, but they don't know the other two to vote for. So it might be a way that we can get a whole lot more votes for the other school board members that are on our team. So do try to fill those 2 hour opportunities that she has here for us, and let's get this done. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Just another quick thing. J.C. Crossley in the 34th lost by 35 votes last time. So if we can get 35 more over the top, Christine Bushyhead is another conservative. She lost, I think, by 70 votes the year before that. So it's all about turnout.
Last year we got 2 board members on, and I'm always talking about Lee Summit, and I apologize to Blue Springs or to Green Valley, but it seems like we're focused on Lee Summit more, which we are. But we got 2 board members in last year. It was 7-0. Now it's 5-2, and it seems like we're working a whole lot harder this year than we were last year. So hopefully we can all do our texting and our emailing and our phone calls and get as many people to vote as we can. And it does make sense. Don't blow it. If it's raining real hard or storming tomorrow afternoon, don't blow it off. It's important to go do your voting. Kristen.
I was going to say, I gave the update tonight about the books in hopes that will encourage you to contact more people to get out and vote, because if we can flip the board, they can help. That board essentially will be the board that addresses the appeals. So they can be the ones that address the 70 or 80 whatever books.
Right.
As to whether they'll be staying in the district or not.
If we don't flip it, you'll be giving the new board the opportunity to shut down your voice going forward.
Yeah.
Way
So go
worse.
tell everyone to vote, so we can make the change there. Not just here, Blue Springs is gonna vote, but Green Valley too. Green Valley, same problems out there. Lance is helping deal with it, so.
Last month we had, if y'all remember, we had Chris Barrett come up and speak about gays against grooming. Groomers. And, yeah, grooming. I think I've been saying that for the last month. We don't want you to groom, so don't groom. But There's been some things happen in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and Chris has been very active in helping us get the word out. And once you're an adult, and I'm just going to voice my opinion. Once you're an adult, do whatever you want to do, but don't mess with the children. Don't mess with the children, and we have got to protect our children, and that's what Chris is all about here with gays against groomers. You get the floor, my friend.
All right. So I'm not as nervous this time. So anyway, good evening, everyone. As Chuck said, my name is Chris Barrett. I'm the chapter leader of Gays Against Groomers Missouri. It was such a pleasure to be able to come here last month and speak with you about my organization. You all gave me such a warm reception, and I'm so glad to be back. I'm here tonight to give you an update. Oh, thank you. I'm here to give you an update on what I've been up to since the last meeting. All I can say is it's been a very busy month. First, we had the protest at the Washington University Pediatric Gender Clinic at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and it was a great success. We had gay people, trans people, and straight people all working together to end gender transition for minor children. What was particularly heartening was all the honking cars and thumbs ups we got from people passing by. Of course, there were far left counter protesters that acted as obnoxious as what we would usually expect from people like that. I don't think they were particularly effective. The next was the LSR 7 school board meeting that I got to speak at. I spoke about some inappropriate books in the school libraries. I was particularly interested in the book, Not All Boys Are Blue. I know the motivation for having a book like that in the library is to be inclusive of gay people, but honestly, I don't want explicit material like that to be representing people like me. And man, is that book very sexually explicit. I think it's fine to have books that tell the stories of gay people in our libraries. When I was a kid and realized that my attractions meant I was homosexual, then sure, I sought out books in the school library about gay people, and I was glad they were there. Those books told great stories of gay people coming out to their friends and family, which ended up helping me when I decided to do the same thing. But that was the sort of thing I needed, not sexually explicit content. Probably the most fun thing was going to Jefferson City to speak in favor of SB 49, which would ban gender transitions for minors. The bill seemed to be dead before the rally we had under the rotunda. But I guess our influence helped because that bill broke through a Democrat attempt at a filibuster and passed the next day. Now, I have to caution you, the bill isn't very strong as it sunsets in 4 years. Obviously, transitioning kids is not going to suddenly become okay in 4 years, so we need to make this stronger in the House. So find out who your House member is if you don't know, and urge them to make sure this new law will not sunset in the state of Missouri. Another thing that was really cool about going to Jefferson City was seeing the trans people there who also wanted to protect kids. I got to meet Scott Nugent and spend the better part of the day with him. If you don't know who he is, he was featured on Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? He's a trans man who has made a name for himself protecting kids from radical gender ideology, and now I'm glad to call him a friend. That day, I also went to Jefferson City with my friend Julia, who is here with us tonight. She's a wonderful trans woman who has been to a few events helping me save kids from the radical left and radical gender ideology. So you'll notice I brought up the left a few times tonight. That might seem strange because I said Gays Against Groomers is nonpartisan the last time I was here. Well, we definitely are nonpartisan, but now I'm going to be speaking for myself. For the second time in my life, I have to kind of come out again, and I'm going to do that with you all here tonight. See, I spent most of my life being a Democrat or a far left-leaning independent. I worked with Bernie Sanders' campaign to help get him elected. I used to be a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. But doing the work I do now, I can't help but see the problems of the left. Their politics are wrong. Their ideology is wrong. They seem to have no sense of morality. I can't support it anymore. So tonight, I'm coming out to you all as a newly minted conservative. Thank you. I'm tired of the left, and I'm tired of their immorality. I may be a gay man, but I can assure you there are many of us that would love to join you. We just need to reach out to people like me and put away past differences and respect each other and live and let live. What has been going on today is not the result of gay people getting marriage and work rights. It's a result of a radical far left that wants to undermine the United States of America. It's time we open up that big tent and let people in who we may not necessarily understand. Our kids depend on us doing this. The survival of our country as we know it depends on this. We can all come together and make a better country. I'm glad to join you, my fellow conservatives, on this journey. May God bless you all.
I didn't see him shaking. Last month, I was sitting back here and his whole back was shaking. I felt so sorry for you, but man, I'm telling you what, you've done a lot in the last month and we appreciate it. Just the fact that hospitals cannot give hormone changes, is that what it's called?
Well, it's called, so what?
Under the age of 18.
So what hospitals are doing in the state of Missouri, at least for right now, is they're giving puberty blockers, which delays, puberty, obviously. And then they're giving cross-sex hormones to kids. In some instances, there have been some documentation of actual surgeries. Generally speaking, we're talking about like top surgeries and that sort of thing. And top surgery means mastectomy. And Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City is doing the exact same thing.
Right. But the vote 2 weeks ago is that under the age of 18, no longer.
Right. That's what it was in the Senate. Like I said, the only unfortunate thing is my understanding is that bill sunsets
4 years.
in 4 years.
Right. Well, we'll keep on it, that's for sure. Thank you. That was very touching. I appreciate it. Hey, where's Chad? We got Chad White up tonight. Chad, remember a month ago, Chad challenged you all to bring some guests tonight, and of course challenge you to vote tomorrow. I don't know.
So did anybody bring anybody with them tonight? New guests? New guests? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Can you jump in? It was like me on the karaoke machine last time. So if you did, come up here real quick.
Anybody that brought a guest?
Got $100.
Anybody that brought a guest?
If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna give you guys a ticket. We have 3 people. What do you think's gonna happen? You guys just want to take it and go?
There's nobody else new for the first time here? Come on up. Somebody invited you.
You brought 2.
The one who brought them.
And you have to dance with the one that you brought. Isn't that how it goes? Something like that?
And do we have any veterans in the room? Are there any veterans in the room? Regina's mom was a Marine. And it's so cool to have veterans in the room, it really is. So
We're gonna make it quick and easy. You're
Go
gonna
ahead.
pick it. You're gonna pick it.
I'm gonna pick one of those.
You're gonna pick it. I mixed him up. I guarantee he didn't watch me. He's really good. He's good. Okay, so we're gonna go with 495451. You didn't get to sit down very long, did you? There you go. Hey, appreciate it. Okay. Because, hey, here's the deal. One person makes a difference, right? One person can make a difference. You can change lives. It was great seeing the speakers tonight, as always. They get you excited. They tell great things. They bring great value. And, you know, it made me think, like, I didn't wear my shirt I was going to wear tonight. I wore my shirt that I don't co-parent with the government, okay? That's my kids. I'm going to raise them God's way and our family's way. So it made me think of the shirt I was going to wear was Isaiah 6:8. Does anybody know that? And God said, who shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here I am. Send me. That's what all these people are doing. They're fighting. They're making a difference. And I want to recognize somebody tonight who's made a difference. Chuck, come on up here. You see, Chuck, if it wasn't for one person, and he's got a lot of people around him, there's no doubt, it's all the support. But Chuck got this going. He's keeping it going. He's bringing great people in. Look, if there was 3 people sitting here, it wouldn't matter. If there's 5,000 people, it doesn't matter. It's about who's here right now. It's us. We know we got to fight. We know we got a lot of things ahead of us. And if it wasn't for Chuck and we the people, okay? So I want to give that to you. I appreciate everything you do. You're a good man. Appreciate you, brother. And the best part is Chuck said, well, you know, I'm going to have to say a few words tonight. I said, great, there's nothing like planning. So I got to thinking, I don't think there's a better time. We got a big day tomorrow. But so does somebody we heard talk tonight. If you're not fired up about what they're trying to do to Donald Trump, okay, I couldn't pour gasoline on you and light you up any more than that. I'm fired up. My wife said, I thought you were already in the NRA. I wasn't yet. But the other day, the day that I found out they indicted him, I joined. And now trust me, I got plenty of guns. That wasn't the issue. And like some people, you guys know with your firearm training, not everybody can shoot them. They might have them, but you better go and practice. You know, we face the toughest times, and I know everybody out there, because we're all humans, we got everything going on behind our eyeballs every day. You're thinking, what's going to happen? How has our world gotten here? Who's going to save us? We get scared maybe a little bit. Think, man, how can this keep happening? We're probably a little dull to the shock. They can't come up with anything new. You can't come down and talk about chocolate chip ice cream and make me go, wow, who would do that? You just can't. We're going to indict who should be our president right now. We're going to indict him because we can't stop him at the polls. We have to cheat because what's at stake this time is tyranny. The great one, Mark Levine. Anybody watch Mark? You heard the words come out of his mouth the other night.
He laid it on the line.
He said it's tyranny. We have a tyrannical government. You know, and you heard it tonight, our forefathers built in for us to protect our country and our Constitution. So you say to yourself, now if I called John and Bill and Joe and I said, hey, let's meet down at the farm, bring all your guns, we're gonna go take this government back. What would happen? Wouldn't go very well. But you heard a game plan. Because I thought about it, I said, well, how would we do it? And I'm gonna back up to these books in these schools. We're gonna win. We're gonna win tomorrow. We're gonna get these books out of schools, and if we don't get them out of the schools, I'll start putting money out there for kids to start bringing them home, and the library book didn't get returned. And they won't be able to restock them fast enough. We're gonna win, one way or the other. They got asymmetrical warfare, and so do we. We'll get our government. States have power. And it's time to use these states' power. And if you think about it, someone said, who was it? The chocolate chip eater said, well, they don't have F-15s. No, but my National Guard does. And they're controlled by the governor of my state. And I promise you, if you put the National Guard together, just do the math on it. Military fallout is at an all-time high. But our National Guard are there. They're the ones. We're getting our government back. We'll do it in the polls. We're peaceful. But we know our enemy. They're not playing by the rules. So if we want to fall in line, get caught in rush hour traffic, be sheep, that's easy. But if you want to be lions, sometimes it gets to the point, it's time to do the lion stuff. I saw that shirt earlier. You know, I do a lot of stuff with people, whether it's just motivational stuff to, what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. And I know that the biggest gap between achieving goals, it lies between knowing and doing. We can know what we got to do, but we got to get out and do it. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on the phone. I have 24 people I'm going to remind that you told me you're coming. And they better be bringing some people with them. Get on the phone tomorrow morning. People you work with, people you know. Tell them what's at stake. What I would love to see next meeting is more. As well. Who said that? A famous tight end for the Chiefs. More, right? Even if you didn't see that. We need more. We need more people here. Because the school board fights tomorrow, but it's not going to be over tomorrow. The fight's going to go on. Let's keep coming here. Let's keep bringing people. And I tell you what, who won $100 tonight? Huh? That's what I'm talking about. I know that. Do it again. I'll bring another 100. Okay? Bring people with you. Let's keep bring some youth in here too. Let's get some of these kids and wake them up. People let's go. I guarantee it's like 75 degrees. I'm going to work in my yard tonight. I'm not going to We the People. Okay? It's one night. It's one night. It's one time we come together. And I can tell you right now, listen, I am a husband to one, father of two, and I am a brother to all of you under God. So I'll do everything I can do, and I know you will too. But let's not give it up now. We are getting close. Tomorrow's a big day, and the fight goes on from there. Them books are coming out of that school, though. I promise you that. One way or another. And let's pray for our president, Donald Trump. God bless you guys.
Thank you for that gift. I appreciate it. There are signs that you can take that are up here from the candidates. We are, we the people, of course, of Jackson County, Missouri. We're trying our hardest to have other cities and other counties open up We the People, and to be specific and to have a unique name. It's We the People of the county of Missouri. So everybody has their own unique name, their own unique Facebook page, or whatever the case might be. A couple of things that I did not mention earlier. We do have a book of business. If you do own a business and you want to put your card in there, we're going to start trying our hardest to use each other's businesses so we give money to each other, alike minds, helping each other make more money. So if you're interested, if you have cards, please bring those to the book of business. Donna controls the email, and we send that out once a month to everybody. So
put one in the book and give one to me, because I will email a new list out each month with the new cards that I've gotten at each meeting.
about a year and a half or so ago, there was some people from Warrensburg that they came to our meeting and they said, Chuck, can we start one of these down in Warrensburg? And I said, yeah, sure. I met them for breakfast down in Warrensburg, and I told them how we started ours up and how we got ours growing, and they have done the same. I don't know if a few of you have probably been to We the People of Johnson County, Missouri, but I've asked Jerry and Rachel to come up and speak for a few minutes to tell us how theirs is going and how it's working. Now, they don't have Greater Kansas City to work with. I mean, the biggest town they've got is Warrensburg. They got Holden, they got a few towns around there. But they have a group of people that meet on a regular basis, and I wanted them to talk a little bit.
Jerry's gonna go first.
Well, as Chuck said, we don't have much of a, I don't know what to call it, population. You got started because of what was going on.
Right.
Well, we're conservative in Johnson County, and probably we might be better known as the conservative Johnson County rather than the liberal Johnson County. So, but my beautiful wife here, oh gosh, about 2 years ago, she was going stir crazy, and trust me, stir crazy. She said, if I don't do something, I'm gonna go crazy. So that was blow up. So that was the impetus when we talked to Chuck and got things going. And we've had some great speakers. Chuck's been there, Rick's been there, Rachel left, but she's spoken, and Kristen, she's been down there. So we don't have the crowd that you'd have, but what we are trying to do is educate as best we can, and we feel like that's kind of what we can do.
Okay.
We didn't rehearse this.
No, that's obvious, huh? So yeah, we started out, we want to educate people. Because there was so many lies in the news, and everywhere you looked, people were either straight out lying or absolutely deluded, and they did not know the truth. So we started bringing in speakers who really knew the truth, and that's what Chuck recommended. He said, bring in people who will tell the truth. So that's what we did, and we have had, similar to Chuck, we've had healthcare people, and my background is I have a master's in nursing, and I worked with Marion Labs, which is a pharmaceutical company that ultimately merged and reformed to become Sanofi Pharmaceuticals. And what I did was phase 3 trials, which is the safety and efficacy trials. And so I was going nuts before COVID ever happened. But then when I saw what they were doing with the mRNA shot, I don't even know what to say to you. The lies that were being told about this particular compound, and I can only call it a compound because until a compound has been approved by the FDA, it's not a drug, it's a compound. This is a compound, and a very dangerous one. But anyway, don't get me started on that. But so anyway, one of the things that I did was to talk about with our group how to know if a drug is safe or not. And the bottom line is, in the pharmaceutical industry, the good clinical practices, those are what keep you safe from being arrested and going to jail, is good clinical practices. And the good clinical practices would have stated that if there were 50 deaths, this compound would have been yanked off the market, shoved on the shelf, and never saw the light of day. Right. And there have been, as you know, many more than 50 deaths, so I'll just stop there. But, okay, so telling the truth was what really got us started. And Chuck has been such a supporter of helping us find speakers, helping us know where to go and what to do next, etc. But I didn't know if there were any, quote, real issues in Warrensburg. So a group of us started going to the school board meetings and to the city council meetings and to the health board meetings. Well, there were problems.
There are problems. So I'm running for the health board tomorrow, and if you're in Johnson County, go vote for Rachel Gifford for the health board. Because we've got some issues. We had people who were more than willing to just lay down and force people to take the mRNA shot. The employees of the health board, they at one point were being forced to take the mRNA shot, and masking for children and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's one thing that I think we've got kind of a handle on. We've got 2 more people on the health board now, such that if we can get myself and one other person, we can swing the votes. So yeah, so that was our thing. Then, I tell you the truth, I have gone to those school board meetings till I'm black in the face, and I still don't know what the curriculum is. And I can't get a hold of it. And I can't find anybody who will actually help me know what the daggum curriculum is. And Kristen and I have talked, but the other thing is, I don't know if I want to work as hard as Kristen did, especially since I'm going to be on the health, well, maybe on the health board. But anyway, we've got to get more folks. That's the thing, to help us with that. We've got a couple of wonderful people on our school board, but they don't even know what the curriculum is, and that's the honest to goodness truth. So, okay, so school board has become an issue for us. And then the other thing that we found out is, and I just talked to Chris about this, and I think we're gonna join forces. Bottom line is the Elks Club, for the last 3 years, Warrensburg, has hosted a drag queen show for kids. And it's not just a drag queen show. There's a drag queen show, but then there's a whole day, about 5.5 hours of kids being exposed to Q&A to drag queens, playing Ring Around the Rosie with drag queens, doing this and that and the other thing, up close and personal with drag queens. That's not okay. That is not okay. In Warrensburg, freaking Missouri. That makes me sick. At the Elks Lodge. Last year, and again it's scheduled this year for June 3rd at the Elks Lodge. Now if that doesn't make you throw up, I don't know what will. But that just is so disgusting. Last year it sneaked up on us. We didn't realize it fast enough to really get in there and do something. But this year, if anybody wants to help us with this, we're meeting Friday night at the American Legion building in Warrensburg, 733 Young Street. So at 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock we're gonna meet. And Jerry's bringing for pizzas, so you better tell him what kind you like. So, and we're gonna try to come up with a plan. What can we do? Last year we picketed, but it didn't stop the show. So how are we gonna stop? I mean, freaking dead, stop this show. It's horrible.
Get rid of the sponsors. Enough people come to it and protest, you can stop it.
Well, one of our members has the end with BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. And she said, if about 50 people roar in there, and I'm like, yeah, but then they gotta roar out sometime too, because the cops will come. And so they can still have a daggum show. I had, just a second, Chris, yeah. Elks!
Central Bank and Culver's.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Elks have been really, really careful about making sure that nobody thinks they're sponsoring it. They're only a host that is paid to give this venue. Well, you can say that all you want, but you can't have it both ways. If you're taking a whole bucket load of money for sponsoring a children's drag queen show, you are helping sponsor it. Story over. Central Bank said they would not sponsor it this year. So they did last year, but they are not sponsoring it this year, so kudos to Central Bank. Culver's is sponsoring it, up one side and down the other, and then there are a lot of national sponsors. Culver's, freaking Culver's, yes. Yes.
The owners of Culver's in Warrensburg is the same as one here in Lakeside.
And Lewisburg. Call it, are they selling tickets?
Yes, they are selling tickets.
Why don't we buy all the tickets?
Well, there is that, and we kind of went there as a last resort because we're still then supporting them.
No, we show up.
Well, I know, we show up, and that I get it. And we show up, but they're still getting, their pockets filled with money. There's a lady here first, and then you, Chris. Oh, man, I need to shut up. I'm sorry.
My question is, I don't understand the mindset of a parent that would take their.
I don't either.
None of us does. None of us does, but we saw it. There were between 30 and 50 kids. Kristen.
Another angle would be to look at Missouri law about, like strip clubs and nudity and stuff like that. There are very strict laws about the size of the stage, how close a person can get. If there's nudity, but you have to understand the definition of nudity.
I will check.
If there's exposure of things, that might be
most of the porn laws were written before spandex.
Rachel, how much did you research that?
You see why I love these two? I mean, we got a rancher that raises cattle, and we've got a nurse that is so involved in what's going on. They were perfect to start a We the People in Johnson County, Missouri. And so they meet the third Monday night down at the fairgrounds in Warrensburg. So,
7 o'clock.
but the whole madness of me wanting to introduce them is that we need a We the People in Cass County. We need a We the People in Johnson County and Kansas. We need them all over. We need them to continue to spread. So if you know anybody that has the enthusiasm as a Rachel that could start one up, I'd be glad to meet with them, and so would you.
I would say, so would we. We would love to be able to give back. Chuck gave to us. If we can give to somebody else, and they can give to somebody else, we will do whatever we can to help other counties as well. So.
If we can change a county and another county and another county, maybe we can change Missouri, and maybe we can change the nation. Where is? Did she leave? She left?
She left and put me in charge. That's not a good thing.
Doggone.
I know. Hi, I'm Teresa McBride. I'm the vice chair for the Jackson County Republican Party. And we wanted to invite you all again to our Lincoln Day dinner. It's April 15th, and it is in Blue Springs, Missouri at the Elks Lodge. We got some I know, I heard that. But our dinner is going to be different. Can anybody guess who our special speaker is going to be? Has anybody heard? Yeah, right. Who is it? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, we're pretty excited. And Mark Alford, also, our other U.S. congressman. So go to our website, JaCoMO.gop. Sign up, get your tickets. The deadline's next week, so we gotta know how many people's coming. There's going to be a limit, and tickets are selling very, very fast since we announced that on our website. So come join the fun. If anybody has any donations they'd like for the silent auction, if you've got a business, you've got a tow service that's over here in the book of business or something like that, and you want to donate a tow, you want to donate any other kind of things that your business does, please let us know. We could do that. Any items you have, we could also do that. So I think that was about it. So come see Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're pretty excited. There's a VIP option also. You can have some private time with her, speak to her in person. It'd be pretty exciting. So come see us.
Very cool. We bring a lot of information to you in 2 hours. I've been told that your mind can only handle what your butt can handle in the chair, and we do appreciate you all being here. We're making a difference. there's no doubt we are making a difference. We're making a difference in human trafficking. Hopefully, we're making a difference in the pornography in the schools. I do have Allison Phillips coming to speak next month on the human trafficking and what's going on. It is unbelievable to me that we started this education in the police force and it even went to the county and it happened at Royal Stadium. I mean, that just blows me away that it started right here, educating the police force. And there might be some of you that don't know, we saved 4 girls from human trafficking last month, just because of the education we did. So, this group does not sit around, this group doesn't just sit around bitching and moaning. We are an action group and we get some things done, and we're just getting started. We really are. So I appreciate you all being here. Grab 40 or 50.